home of Sooner fans. Monday morning at 7:45, I'll join the voice of
Sooner fans, show your Sooner pride. Crafted for SEC competition. Every OU fan should own a piece of Sooner magic. Made in America, like it should be. Get your official on-field OU football today.
Hey Sooner Nation, join me Mondays at 7:45 a.m. and Thursdays at 4:45 p.m. exclusively on the Ref. Download the KREF app to listen from anywhere.
Visit normanair.com for all your heating, air, plumbing, and electrical needs. Norman Air, service to the max.
Hey, it's Chris Plank here for Gary and the entire crew over at Cavens Group. Cavens has been busy around the OKC area with a lot of water emergencies after the recent record rainfall. And you know what comes after the rain? Mold. If you think mold might be an issue, give the great people at Cavens a call, because mold can be harmful to you and your family or your staff at work. Call Cavens today, 405-573-3048, or visit them online at cavensgroup.com.
The Showplace Theater at Riverwind is your best bet.
And with some of the best acts around, like Goo Goo Dolls, September 5th. Penn and Teller, September 6th. Cole Swindell, September 20th. And Jamie Johnson, September 26th.
Riverwind, the Metro's best casino experience.
Hey Sooner fans, Kinsey Hansen here to tell you about my friends at the Affordable Door Company. Their fast, reliable, and professional staff have been serving the OKC Metro for over 28 years. Affordable Door Company is your one-stop shop for residential and commercial garage door service and replacement. Call them and tell them you want the ultimate maintenance for your garage door. You don't want to be stuck in your garage at game time, so give them a call at 405-635-9499 or visit them online at affordabledoor.net. You can't afford not to call Affordable Door Company, proud garage door sponsor of the Sooners.
Hi, I'm Barry Switzer. We have a very important Senate race here in the Sooner Nation, and I'm encouraging you to go out Tuesday and vote for my friend Lisa Standridge. We need a bold and strong leader with true class, and most importantly, Lisa is Sooner born and Sooner bred. Join me and elect a champion. Vote for Lisa Standridge for State Senate.
Vote Lisa Standridge on August 27th, paid for by Lisa Standridge for State Senate 2024.
Would you like to play a more active role in your health? At Hightower Clinical, we believe all Oklahomans should have access to new potential treatment options through clinical trial participation. Our team wants to support you with the best care possible through clinical trials. No health insurance is required. Compensation is available for eligible study participants, and study care is provided at no cost.
Having the chance to go through a trial and find out if something works for them and makes their life easier, I would recommend them do it.
To learn more, scan this QR code and visit our website.
The Ref Radio Sports Network is powered statewide by the insurance adjusters at Brown O'Haver. Fire, wind, theft, or tornado, we can help. Call 405-735-5510. Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings Studios, it's time to get locked in to the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Tyler McComas and Parker Thune.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino calling line at 405-329-9000. Text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Tyler McComas and Parker Thune.
Game week! We made it! Oh my God, we finally made it through the longest offseason of my life, getting ready for year one of the SEC. It is officially game week in Norman. 4 days out until kickoff. Actually, it's 4 days, 3 hours, 49 minutes, and 28 seconds, thanks to the Chick-fil-A countdown clock here in studio.
Did you say the longest offseason?
It felt like the longest offseason for me, getting ready for year one of the SEC.
Okay. I'll allow it.
Did that feel like the shortest offseason for you?
Personally, I felt like the offseason leading up to Brent Venables' very first year at the helm. was
that too
easily.
But I
easily
guess why this one felt like the longest offseason ever is because all offseason, and certainly for a week at SEC Media Day, I and the rest of us were having to fight the battle of, well, they're just not ready for the SEC. They're just not ready for it. You know, they don't understand the grind. They don't understand this. Their offensive line sucks. Their quarterback's too young. Their coach isn't any good. All the crap that we've had to fight off all offseason long.
Well,
finally. God.
And not only have you had to hear all of that, you also have had to hear over and over and over again. Oklahoma, they just don't really understand what they're in for in the SEC. And then if you hadn't heard it enough, you had to hear it this last week from a guy in his bathtub.
You know, I used to be colleagues with that guy, by the way. He and I actually hosted a podcast together for like 2 years.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did he wear shirts
He did.
for those podcasts?
He never did the podcast from a bathtub. This is a new venture for Dimitri, so glad to see what he's up to there.
So there was no hashtag free the nipple on your podcast.
He told me I'm getting a lot of "you're fat" and responses right now on on this video that I put out, but it was a fascinating take nonetheless for sure. But hey, we got ourselves a depth charts. We had ourselves a press conference today. There was a Rudy show last night. And out of everything that we've seen over the course of the past 24 hours, there's a lot to take away, especially from the depth chart. But is the biggest thing to take away that one of the few true freshmen to start game one, it's going to happen on Friday night. Jaden Jackson, the hype is real. The true freshman's going to start on the interior. Now, look, would I rate the defensive line today, or do I think about the defensive line today the same that I think about OU's frontline talent at linebacker and their depth overall? No, I wouldn't. Do I think the same thing about the defensive line as I think about the corners and safeties? What their starters are going to look like and how much depth that they have there? Probably not. I do think that this could be the best defensive line that they've had in quite some time, and I know the bar of that hasn't been extremely high, but all that to say, I don't think that Jaden Jackson is starting on Friday because everyone else just sucks around him. I think the buzz and the hype that we've heard since the spring is real, and I think that he's earned that spot over some guys who have played here for a bit and have some, somewhat decent experience.
It's truly elite company that Jaden Jackson is now in as a guy that is in line to draw a start for Oklahoma in week one as a true freshman. I mentioned it earlier today on Twitter, but there have only been 3 guys in the post-Bob Stoops era to this point, Tyler, that have done that. Those guys are CeeDee Lamb, new $100 million man.
Yeah, got paid today.
Kenneth Murray, who was a first-round draft pick, and Billy Bowman, who's the best safety in college football right now. So if precedent tells us anything, it's that Jaden Jackson's going to be a dang good football player, and already is, because, as you mentioned, we're having this conversation, and there's plenty of reason to believe that we ought to be having this conversation about Oklahoma's defensive line in 2024 being the best that we've seen this program field in many, many years. And with all of the existing depth that Oklahoma has, with guys that have played plenty of snaps at the University of Oklahoma, played meaningful minutes elsewhere at other college programs as starters, in a room that features Dominic Williams and Dejon Terry and Grayson Halton and another veteran in Devon Sears and David Stone, 5-star, top 5 overall prospect in the country, coming in as a true freshman. Amidst all of that, it is Jaden Jackson that earns the right to start for this program at defensive tackle on Friday night. That speaks volumes.
Well, yeah, that's good. That's a good list post Stoops era, guys. I mean, one got paid today. The other one was a first-round pick, like you said, and the other one is going to get paid very soon and may win the Thorpe Award this year. But how about let's go all the way back to the start of the Stoops era. How many interior defensive linemen have started as true freshmen game one? I mean, I could think of one, but I think I can only think of just one, and that's Tommy Harris. Has there been another defensive lineman since 1999 here that started as a true freshman game one? Tommy did it. Tommy actually made an incredible play in the backfield in his first ever play in college football, and we got a glimpse as to what he was going to be over the next few years. But I think he joins that company as well, because Gerald McCoy went on to have a great collegiate career, went on to have a great NFL career. that dude had to redshirt his first year because he wasn't ready to play. Jaden Jackson he's ready to play right now, and I bring up Tommy Harris, and I think a lot of us watched on the Rudy Show last night. Brent Venables isn't comparing Jaden Jackson to Tommy Harris, but who he is comparing him to is a very young, mature Dusty Dvoracek. And would we not take that around here at this moment? I think that we would all take a young Dusty Dvoracek on this roster.
Another Dusty Dvoracek would be a welcome addition to the Oklahoma front line, that's for sure. And Santa John on the text line asked, Parker, how did all of the recruiting services miss on Jaden Jackson? And I understand the question. I don't think the recruiting services missed on Jaden Jackson, which, okay, look, if you look at the ratings and you can file this away for your On3 agenda, On3 had him as a 3-star. ESPN also had him as a 3-star. For those that do pay attention to ESPN as a legitimate source for recruiting information analysis. But 24/7 Sports and Rivals had identical ratings on this kid. He was a 4-star both places, and for both services, he was the number 189 player in the nation. So you are in the mid-tier of 4-star range there. Now, say what you will about what Jaden Jackson has done in spring camp and throughout the fall already at Oklahoma, and being in line to now be a true freshman starter for this Oklahoma defensive line. You can make the argument that he is certainly ahead of schedule and outpacing expectations, and I think that's true. But it's not just about what a guy does immediately. It's about what a guy does over the course of his collegiate career. It's about projecting to the NFL draft. And again, being a mid-tier 4-star dude, if that's what the recruiting services think of you, if you show up and you're a week 1 starter, do they undervalue you a little bit? Sure, but it's not like they were sleeping on you, I don't think. I think it has a lot more to do with the fact that he was playing on the same IMG Academy defensive line as David Stone, and that probably limited his ceiling, if you will, because you never could really tell. Well, I shouldn't say you never could tell, because there were those that could. I know our Southeast recruiting analyst at Rivals, John Garcia, he pushed so hard for Jaden Jackson to get a bump and another bump because he thought the world of Jaden Jackson. But it would be fair to question, and I can understand why many would have the question if you watched IMG on a Friday night. Okay, is Jaden Jackson this good, or is David Stone, since we know he's a top 5 prospect in the nation, is he the one that's creating more of an opportunity?
It's funny you bring that up because 1 year ago today, happy commit-versary to David Stone.
How about that?
But to what you're saying, remember, David Stone and IMG, they played a game 1 year ago today, and he committed at halftime.
That's right.
And, Monday we come back here and we celebrate the addition of a 5-star that you just had to have in the 2024 class. But do you remember what a lot of OU fans came in here saying the very next week after watching that game? Well, David Stone made some plays. Like, of course he's really good, but did you guys see Jaden Jackson? Jaden Jackson was really making some plays in there. Jaden Jackson looked really good in that game as well. Dadgum. So I think if you really watched IMG last year, you really knew what you were getting with Jaden Jackson. And this wasn't a thing where, he just had a so-so spring and then really popped in training camp. Parker, we were hearing about Jaden Jackson being one of the main storylines, one of the main stars all the way back in spring ball. So honestly, even though I think that this is big news, even though he is in very rare company in terms of first-year players, true freshmen to immediately start, are any of us really surprised when we saw that yesterday on the depth chart? If you've been following along for several months now, I don't think it necessarily shocked you. As interesting, as big of a story it is, I don't think it shocked you, though, that Jaden Jackson was there as your starting D tackle with no oars listed next to it.
Yeah, well, and I think we might have had that conversation last week. I think you asked me, do you think Jaden Jackson is going to be a starter come week 1? And my answer was yes. I think, those that have spent time around the program and have gotten to watch practice and are talking to the right people in the Switzer Center have understood really from the jump that this kid is going to be a stud and a verifiable superstar at the University of Oklahoma. He's already on track. He's got to stay healthy. He's got to stay motivated. We quite frankly do not know yet. We think we know what it's going to look like on a Saturday, but obviously we don't know what it looks like on a Saturday yet. But the knowledge that Jaden Jackson is immediately going to be one of your cornerstone players at the defensive tackle position right off the bat in 2024 for a defense that we know on the whole is going to be very strong. That gets you excited for the future. And not just the immediate future in terms of what happens in 2024, but the thought of pairing that guy with a David Stone or a Grayson Halton or a Floyd Bucard down the line.
The only downside to all of this, and I mean the only downside to all of this, and I understand that the two are linked, and you probably saw some of this yesterday as well. Well, Jaden Jackson starting from day one. Obviously, this means David Stone, he's just another 5-star bust around here. And the Texas fan troll, Recruiting Doomer 2, popped on the text line. It feels like you guys might be hyping up the Jackson start to cover the shock and awe of the great almighty 5-star David Stone fighting to rotate for third string. Again, I don't think the roles yesterday that were revealed on the depth chart for either Jaden Jackson or David Stone were shocking for anyone that's been following along. Probably would have guessed that going into yesterday, and the same thing for David Stone. Don't expect him to be the starter, but expect him to be a rotational piece. But in no way does that mean that he's coming here and he's been super disappointing, or the trajectory that they thought that he might have, that is no longer the case. Brent Venables said last night, no one on our football team has worked harder than David Stone.
And he said again this morning, David Stone is going to play a lot because, like most every other serious college football program, Oklahoma is going to need and is going to use a variety of contributors on the interior of the defensive line. And so, look, let's not act like starting as a true freshman, especially at the defensive tackle position, is common or to be expected, because it's not. We just talked about the company that Jaden Jackson is in historically. It is highly uncommon for true freshmen, period, to start at the University of Oklahoma. I think it would have been unfair to place that expectation on David Stone's shoulders, and it similarly would have been unfair to place that expectation on Jaden Jackson's shoulders. Now, Jaden Jackson has shown up, he has seized the bull by the horns, and he has put himself in position to start from the jump. All that means is that he's ahead of the curve. That doesn't mean that David Stone is behind the curve.
918 on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, 405-651-3439. Hearing how OU is over their head going into the SEC, all the while hearing how your arch rival Texas is a top 2 or 3 team and may win the conference championship in their inaugural year. Insert vomit emoji here. I mean, combine that with, well, Oklahoma ain't ready. They don't know what's going on here. And that Texas immediately is, I mean, a lot of people picking them to play in the SEC championship game this year. It's been an exhausting offseason. But finally, you get to prove everyone wrong, hopefully, coming up in just 4 days. Not that you can prove anyone wrong by beating down on Temple, but clearly the season is about to begin, so we got some actual football to talk about here. 2-star Lost City Sooner says, if you trot out in the field for OU as a freshman, whether starting or not, you're a stud, period. Starter or not, you're a stud. A lot of freshmen on the 2 deep, or at least on the depth chart yesterday as well.
Well, and Lost City Sooners' point generally holds true, because think back to some of the true freshmen that you have seen in meaningful situations in years past. They're never scrubs. Right? Brent Venables, especially, and his staff have shown a propensity to hold freshmen back if they fear they're not ready. We saw this with Jaron Kanik in 2022. We were all scratching our heads going, that freaky athletic kid from Hayes, Kansas that runs a 10.28 in the 100-meter dash, why is he not on the field? And Brent Venables and the staff didn't believe that he was ready, and they kept the harness on him. But if they believe you can play, they believe you're not going to be overwhelmed, then they'll let you off the leash. And they did that last year with Peyton Bowen. They did it with P.J. Adibawara. They did it at times with Makari Vickers and with Josiah Wagner. They certainly did it with Caden Green up front, but that's the exception, not the rule. You are a stud if you're playing as a true freshman in meaningful situations at the University of Oklahoma. Heck, Kip Lewis barely played. I think he played 1 game his true freshman year, and he was your starting will linebacker by the end of year 2 and had supplanted Jaron Kanik for that role.
Who wants a game ball? Official game ball that they're going to use coming up in 4 days right here in Norman, Oklahoma. Official game ball Go to biggameusa.com/KREF. That's biggameusa.com/KREF. The YouTube live folks can see the actual game ball that is for sale on biggameusa.com. It's awesome. Been telling you about it for a couple of weeks now. It can be yours. Go to biggameusa.com.
And not only can they see the football, Tyler, they can see the mood lighting in the studio.
Yeah, mood lighting. It's been a couple of days. I was out on remote Thursday and Friday, so mood lighting is back here at the KREF studios. All right, Christian Jones, Fact or Fiction. That is very fascinating. We'll get to some recruiting and more on this football team as we're getting ready for kickoff right here on the Ref.
Sooner fans, show your Sooner pride. Crafted for SEC competition. Every OU fan should own a piece of Sooner magic. Made in America, like it should be. Get your official on-field OU football today.
Hey Sooner Nation, join me Mondays at 7:45 a.m. and Thursdays at 4:45 p.m. exclusively on the Ref. Download the KREF app to listen from anywhere.
We believe in building financial stability and enduring relationships. As a family-owned community bank since 1909, we'll always be here to support you because we know that true strength is in our communities. Armstrong Bank. Strength runs in our family. Visit armstrong.bank. Member FDIC.
Heyday Family Entertainment Center in Norman is a great place for exciting group events with 2 floors of fabulous fun. Bowling, mini golf, laser tag, arcade games, ropes course, and more. Plus 2 fully stocked bars and a delicious full-service food menu. Heyday in Norman is perfect for groups of up to 1,000 people. You'll be amazed at everything Heyday has to offer. Call Connie for a free tour at 405-310-3500 or visit heydayfun.com. Let's meet at Heyday.
Hey everybody, Toby Rowland here, and make sure you circle August 30th on the calendar. Not only is that the opening day of the OU football season, but Sooner Athletic Director Joe Castiglione will be hosting the T-Row in the Morning Show. That's right, he's giving me the day off. Joe C., the boss, hosting the T-Row in the Morning Show with an incredible lineup of guests, and it is likely the biggest mistake of his illustrious career. Tune in August 30th, Joe C. hosting the T-Row in the Morning Show.
Visit Norman encourages you to shop local in Norman this summer. Visit Cayman's on Main Street, your one-stop shopping for men's and women's clothing, accessories, designer jewelry, cosmetics, and home decor. Featuring Peter Millar, Johnny O, Rag & Bone, John Hardy, and much more at Cayman's. For fresh, delicious Italian dining, visit Gabarino's Homestyle Italian. For lunch, dinner, or takeaway, you are guaranteed to get amazing meals from scratch family recipes at Gabarino's. Hit the driving range or play around at the Westwood Golf Course. It's easy to book a tee time online, pick up a bucket of balls, or enjoy the delicious Turn Grill at Westwood Golf Course. When you shop local, you are supporting businesses that give back to community events, schools, sports, and local nonprofits. However you enjoy summer in Norman, remember to eat, shop, and play local.
The Mont invites you to come by and enjoy our high-quality food and drinks in our historic atmosphere. The Mont has won numerous awards, including Best Restaurant in Norman, Best Appetizer for our great queso, Best Exotic Drink for the original swirl, the Best Patio Dining for our beautifully landscaped patio. Come see the Town Tavern OU football scoreboards dating back to 1947. We'll see you at the Mont on the corner of Boyd and Classen, or call us at 329-3330.
Party like it's the 80s. Get ready for a tubular time at the City of Norman United Way Golf Tournament. Join us September 27th at Westwood for a retro golf extravaganza supporting the United Way of Norman. It starts at 9 a.m. with a shotgun start. Dress up in your best 80s gear, win fabulous prizes, enjoy a full day of action, including an 18-hole scramble, a putting contest, and big-time raffles. Sponsorships are available. Visit unitedwayofnorman.org or sign up today. Brought to you by Cavens Disaster Response Group, City of Norman, and Westwood Golf.
Dorsey Jones Buick GMC in El Reno, bringing this hour of Locked In with McComas and Thune. Dorsey Jones is family-owned and operated, established in 2020, but many of their employees have been there for more than 20 years. They pride themselves on having the best service technicians and friendly service advisors that put your needs first. It's Dorsey Jones Buick GMC in El Reno. OU Athletics has unveiled fan experience enhancements for the 2024 season, and it includes this. The Toby Keith Tribute's third/fourth quarter break will celebrate the Oklahoma icon, giving 85,000 fans the opportunity to sing along with the legendary Sooner superfan. So does that answer our end of the third quarter question that we've had for a few years now? It would sound to me as if they're going to play a Toby Keith song, and we are all highly encouraged to sing along with that at the end of the third quarter.
I love that the people with power at the University of Oklahoma listen to the fan base, because that's what the fan base has been clamoring for, really, ever since the day that Toby Keith passed.
Mm-hmm.
Make him a part of game days permanently.
They've done it one time, to my knowledge. One time. Were you at the Bedlam men's basketball game in Norman?
I was.
First home game after Toby's passing.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when everyone was singing Red Solo Cup in the LNC?
And what a time it was.
It was amazing. Even the Oklahoma State fans were singing along to Red Solo Cup. I mean, I don't really care if you have a bunch of Tennessee or Alabama fans singing along to it as well, but I bet they'd join in. And I know all 85,000 OU fans would be yelling it and singing it as well. So if it's Red Solo Cup, whatever. I don't know if they'll keep the same Toby Keith songs or roll through the catalog that he has, but I love to see that Toby Keith is incorporated, or at least plans to be incorporated for this upcoming season. I think that's fantastic. 918 says, how do you like me now? There's like so many that you could pick from Toby Keith. That would be an awesome third quarter sing-along song. So I think that'll be really cool. A couple more things on the depth charts. I got to say, I'm pretty happy with the immediate plans at both punt and kick returner.
I bet you are.
I mean, if nothing else, it's at least exciting, isn't it?
Oh, it's exciting, all right. I understand the apprehension about Billy Bowman returning kicks, because when last seen returning kicks, Billy Bowman got hurt against TCU back in 2022 and then missed the Texas debacle the following week. So the fact that he's listed on the depth chart, and Brent Venables addressed that earlier today, he said, look, my responsibility is to put the best guys in position to make plays. They obviously feel Billy Bowman is best suited for that role. No doubt pretty much everybody in the building is going to hold their breath every time Billy Bowman gets the ball in his hands on a kick return, because nothing would doom their defense quite like seeing the anchor of their secondary fall victim to injury. But given the depth that Oklahoma has at safety, too, I think that's probably what has enabled Venables to be a little bit more licentious with how he uses Billy Bowman, with the knowledge that you have Peyton Bowen and Robert Spears-Jennings and Michael Boganowski really coming on strong, Reggie Powers. Like, there's more depth at safety than there was last year when Bowman did not return at all. So, and of course, Peyton Bowen in the punt return game, that's going to be a movie, man.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
that's
if nothing else,
fun.
It's going to be exciting.
That's going to be fun.
It's not going to be boring, Peyton Bowen back there returning punts. Like, he did it at a very, very high level at Denton Guyer. We'll see if he can do it at a very, very high level in the SEC with OU this year, but if nothing else, I think he'll create some excitement there. Hey, man, I get it with Bowman. I get why our mind immediately goes there. OU's been stung by it before. But what if Billy Bowman is really good at kick returner and maybe he helps you win a game? Because our mind immediately goes to, oh, God, please just don't get hurt. What if this goes wrong? Well, what if it goes really well? And what if, and I know the Thorpe Award is based on what you do as an actual defensive back, but come on, man, you make a couple of highlight reel plays as a kick returner, it's going to help your overall profile, and it certainly wouldn't hurt his chances at winning a Thorpe Award if he was to have a couple of big plays on that side of things.
Here's what I'm going to do, Tyler. I'm going to make a bold prediction right now.
Oh, here we go.
By the time the lights go out at Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium on the evening of September 14th, that is the final game of non-conference play. if you don't have your calendar in front of you. By the time the lights go out that evening, we will have watched Peyton Bowen return a punt for a touchdown. I believe that.
He was calling for PJ to block a kick last year. That did not happen, but he's still going to keep firing out the special teams takes right there. This one is happening.
I have no shame. I will continue to fire off the special teams takes.
Cherokee Sooner says, does Billy have more kick return touchdowns or pick sixes? Well, I mean, I'm going to go with pick sixes.
He had 3 of them last
year.
year.
I mean, anything close to that, I definitely think it'll be pick sixes. Reform Sooner, if OU is behind after the third quarter, they should play I wish I didn't know now what I didn't know then. Maybe it'll change every game. Maybe it'll just be Red Solo Cup. Either way, it's going to be awesome this season.
Gunny says you don't think he's going to fair catch every punt. He will probably fair catch more punts than you would like him to. Well, I shouldn't say probably, because I guess we don't really know what Doug Deacon's regime is going to look like compared to Jay Nunez's, but he will fair catch quite a few punts. Like, you have to keep in mind, there's not even a viable opportunity to return a punt every time the ball gets punted. Sometimes you get, especially if you got a talented punter, he's going to get the ball up there, going to angle it toward the sideline, make things difficult for a guy like Peyton Bowen to have an opportunity for a return. But when Peyton Bowen does get an opportunity for a return, anytime that kid has the ball in his hands, man, something special can happen.
Yeah, well, if you play, what do we learn? If you play Florida State this year, you'll have many opportunities at punt returns, unless Georgia Tech just holds on to the football the entire second half, like kind of felt like they did there late in the fourth quarter.
How many pick sixes would Billy Bowman have off DJ?
Five. They'd only let DJ really push it down the field 5 times, and Billy Bowman would come up with the pick six every single one. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Jared in Arkansas says, with this defense, there will be so many more opportunities to return punts. That absolutely should be the case, Jared. And Peyton Bowen should have plenty of opportunities on Friday night to return some punts.
You know what else was funny to me looking at that depth chart is that Zion Reagans is nowhere to be found.
They hiding him a little bit there? What's going on?
And Brent Venables said on his coach's show last night that I guess Zion pulled a hammy, and that's why he wasn't on there. I don't want to hear that, because Deshaun McCall has been in a boot for all of fall camp, and he's listed as a co-starter at will linebacker. So clearly it's not solely injury-related. I think the Sooners are trying to keep Zion Reagans under the radar.
Maybe.
And I don't mind that, Tyler.
He's not trying to keep Brennan Thompson under the radar.
No.
What he said about him today, I was like, okay. What do you say? He's become one of our best leaders. He can run the entire route tree, which I do think that's very important for this offense and very important for Brennan. He was focused on not being labeled as just a 9-router or a go ball guy, had the most yardage of our receivers over the course of fall camp. So, and I've said this plenty of times this offseason, hey, I just want Brennan Thompson healthy and just tell him to run a go route like 9 or 10 times. You're not going to throw it to him 9 or 10 times, but just his presence on the field is going to make a defense say, we got to count for 15. Make sure 15 doesn't get behind the defense here. But if dude can run the entire route tree, if he's running digs at a high level and he can do some other things other than run go routes, and Brent Venables said that's the case, I'm not saying that he turns into your number 1 receiver. I'm not telling you he even turns into your number 2 receiver, but he turns into even a more dangerous weapon than what you've already had with him, which is a nice thing to have.
Gunny on the text line says, don't show Zion till Tennessee. I agree, Gunny. I agree. If he doesn't play at all in non-con, I will have no qualms with that. And it's not often you could read a text like this and ruminate on it for a second and go, no, that's actually completely true and not hyperbolic at all. Because if you heard a sentence like, so-and-so's quarterback would be 4th string on OU's depth chart, generally you're like, okay, whatever, fans say fan stuff. But a 214 listener says, DJ Uiagalelei would be 4th string on OU's depth chart. And that is actually factual. Like, yes, that is true.
I wouldn't play him over Jackson Arnold. I would not play him over Michael Hawkins. I don't know if I'd play him over Casey Thompson either. DJU QB4 at the University of Oklahoma. Oof.
It's funny. I saw a bunch of Nebraska fans commenting on OU's depth chart and the fact that Casey Thompson is third string. And what was funny is it wasn't a whole bunch of, Casey Thompson sucks. Look at him. It was several people literally said these words. Casey would have won like 7 or 8 games at Nebraska last year if he were still the quarterback.
He may have.
They think highly of Casey Thompson.
He may have. 405, this is random, but did you see that Ohio State named a punter, and he's 6'7", 255 pounds.
Good
Whoa!
gracious.
Fat punter? Remember when the
that's a basketball player.
Remember in the college football video game before it got taken away from us for over a decade, when the kickers were like always fat, like Pat McAfee was really fat in the game?
Oh, I don't recall that.
I don't know if they've changed that or not, but hopefully this guy is, he looks like he's 6'7", 255 pounds back there as a punter for Ohio State.
Where is he from? That's what I want to know. Like, how on earth did nobody grab this punter by the shoulders, say, you're going to go eat ribeyes every day for a month, and we're going to put you at offensive tackle?
I don't know. Wouldn't Miami, didn't they have a punter that had 2 full arm sleeves?
Yes.
And he was a pretty big dude as well?
Yeah, he was an Aussie.
Yeah, well, maybe this guy's an Aussie as well. Who knows? Steele Wassel is better than DJU, says Gunny. Vinny Paul says, I don't like the idea of Billy running kick return. 1, at 215, he doesn't have enough air to get past the 50, CBYU. 2, if he's returning kicks, that means he just got done playing defense, CBYU. Coaching staff is misleading someone.
Okay, and I hear you, Vinny Paul, but let's not use the BYU example, please, because if you've ever been to that stadium, if you've ever been to that region of the country, you understand that trying to run 100 yards in a straight line in Provo, Utah is substantially more difficult than trying to run 100 yards in a straight line in Norman, Oklahoma. Billy's going to have enough
And he
air.
scored. Hey, what are we complaining? He get caught at the 10-yard line and ended up settling for 3 points or anything. I know that once he hit the plus side of the field for OU, he slowed down pretty dramatically. But, hey, at least he still got in the end zone, man. Still got in the end zone. Still scored. 6 points, one of the biggest plays of the year.
And to your point that if he's returning kicks, that means he just got done playing defense. Well, I mean, wasn't that true for Antonio Perkins, too? He did all right for himself.
Well, that's what I'm saying is we tend to focus on what name or what player always gets brought up when OU has a really good player at kick returner and punt returner. Well, DeMarco, I don't know. DeMarco got hurt in the 08 Big 12 championship game, and yes, DeMarco got hurt, and yes, that sucked. And yes, I too think they win the national championship over Florida based on how many times they got stopped short of the goal line in that game if DeMarco's playing. But guys, there's a lot of times where having a really good player back there has worked out for you. J.T. Thatcher was amazing in that 2000 season. Antonio Perkins was awesome. CeeDee Lamb did it. Adrian Peterson did it. How about Jalen Saunders, who helped win you the 2013 Bedlam game in Stillwater for taking back a punt? So, yes, there's some examples of where it has not worked out well in your favor. There's also some examples, some high-level examples, where it's worked out great for you, man. So, hopefully, that'll help OU win special teams this year because, Parker, there were way too many times last year where they lost special teams and they lost it dramatically. That cannot be the case this year.
And if by midseason Peyton Bowen is handling both punt return and kick return, it would not surprise me in the slightest because he is your most dangerous return weapon on the roster right now.
Reform Sooner says Joe Washington did it. Heck yeah, Joe Washington did it. Joe Washington would catch a punt, run 25 yards back, run all over the field, and it may only be a 3 or 4 yard gain, but he ran about 150 yards to get that 4 yards, and it was highly entertaining.
And then he'd stay on the field and run between the tackles on 1st and 10.
Yep. Yeah, no doubt. Jonah Williams did pick Texas over the weekend, and he had a very interesting quote. I don't know if you saw this or not.
Oh, I saw it.
I believe Eli Letterman is the one that put it out, and I'm trying to find it here. Basically, what he said is he expects to play early because there's not a whole lot of depth at safety at Texas. Isn't that kind of an interesting quote for someone who just committed to a school?
And what's especially funny is Texas fans spent all week saying, Fasusi only chose Oklahoma because they promised him early playing time. He's got an easier path to the field, a more immediate path to the field at Oklahoma than he does at Texas. Jonah Williams chose Texas for that very reason, as confirmed by Jonah Williams himself.
Quote, I feel confident that I'm going to see the field early. I'm going to work to see the field early because the safety room isn't really deep.
Also, how on earth do you walk into the meeting room next January and not feel a little bit uncomfortable?
Because it was a 5-star that said that right after he committed. Like I'm pretty sure everyone in that building read that quote right after. Wow. All right, final segment of Locked In is coming up next. Keep the text coming, 405-651-3439 on the
Sooner fan.
It is the ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Sooner fans, show your Sooner pride. Crafted for SEC competition. Every OU fan should own a piece of Sooner magic. Made in America, like it should be. Get your official on-field OU football today.
Hey, Sooner Nation, join me Mondays at 7:45 a.m. and Thursdays at 4:45 p.m. exclusively on the Ref. Download the KREF app to listen from anywhere.
She found this amazing deal on a blazer online at one of those dealerships.
Oh yeah, flashy with all the promises.
Exactly. She was so excited, but when she got there, they hit her with the old bait and switch.
I've been hearing that a bunch lately.
They told her the car she wanted wasn't there, but guess what? It was. They just wanted to sell it for more than the online price. Then they tried to push a completely different vehicle.
Well, tell her to just come out here and see us at Knippelmeyer.
That's what I told her. She said she would, and she wouldn't go anywhere else from now on.
At Knippelmeyer, we don't play games. Our prices are up front, no gimmicks, just good honest deals like we've done for over 60 years. So don't make the same mistake Jessica did. For your next vehicle, come see us in Blanchard, give us a call at 405-485-3333, or check us out on the web at knippelmeyer.com. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
The Sooners are SEC ready, and so is Balfour of Norman. Are you? Shop our selection of tees, polos, and hats that have the SEC logo on them. And even my new book, Put the Ponies in the Barn. Locally owned for more than 45 years, Balfour of Norman on Campus Corner is OU fans' go-to shop for Sooner gear. Not only will you find all the newest t-shirt designs, but also great polos, women's fashion tops, shorts, and even things for the youngest Sooner fan, starting at newborn and going through youth sizes. When it comes to hats, Balfour probably has the largest selection anywhere. They also have everything you need for tailgating and watch parties, from drinkware and serving pieces to barbecue tools and accessories. Make sure you have plenty of OU paper plates and napkins on hand, too. If it says OU, you will probably find it at Balfour. Come see us on the corner for all the newest gear, or shop online at crimsonproud.com, where you will find everything Sooner.
Hey sports fans, you know you've always wanted to be a star. Enter the Voice of the Heartland vocal competition before September 3rd. Winner of this competition walks away with $1,000 in cash. More information is available at voiceoftheheartland.org, presented by the Hal Smith Restaurant Group, with proceeds benefiting the Sooner Theater. So get registered today at voiceoftheheartland.org.
I'm State Farm Agent Julia Chu, and you already know our office is a place to turn for your insurance and financial needs. Now that place has changed to 701 Wall Street. While the location may have changed, the commitment of our team is as strong as ever. So whether you already know us or want the one-of-a-kind service offered by the Julia Chu Agency, call us at 329-3311 or come visit at our new location, 701 Wall Street, right on the corner of Boardwalk and Wall Street in Norman.
Beats and Bites is back at Riverwind and better than ever. Featuring food trucks, live music, and so much more. With the hottest acts this summer, like Dylan Scott, and Connor Smith, September 1st. Get your tickets online or at the box office for only $10.
Final segment. Locked in with McComas and Thune, live on the ref for the Homeless Sooner fans. We both got mail today. You got mail from Reddy Mustafarai, I believe is how you say it. I got mail from Doug and Norman.
Really?
Yeah, I got...
Was it Mastacholi?
No, even better. It was printed out high school football schedules for every single team in Oklahoma from 6A1 all the way down to 2A2.
Look at Doug putting in the work.
Doug has no respect for Class A or B.
Really?
And as a kid that went to a Class A school, that's fine, Doug. That's all right. But appreciate that. You got a new polo, and I got every single high school football schedule out there, excluding the small schools that is out there. Always nice to get mail from Doug and Norman. Happens once every couple of weeks or so. Okay, who's left on the recruiting board for OU? Well, the two main ones, we're talking about Andrew Babalola, top 100 offensive lineman, and Christian Jones, top 100 linebacker. There is a fact or fiction out today on Rivals on Christian Jones, and the question is, Christian Jones is intrigued by Oklahoma, but will he end up picking Nebraska? And a Nebraska writer says fact. Gorn Dog Adam Gorney says fact as well.
Oh, man.
They both agree that, yeah, Oklahoma could be tough to beat here. They are going to be tough to beat, especially if they look good early in the season. But, man, there's just too many relationships that Christian Jones has with the Husker staff. And if Nebraska gets off to a nice start this year, then that will surely win over the in-state targets.
Yeah. And, look, that may be 100% true. I'm not going to pretend like I can get inside the mind of Christian Jones and predict where he's going to be at come decision day, but I know where he was at following his Oklahoma official visit. And the thing I keep going back to, Tyler, with Christian Jones is if he wanted to be at Nebraska, why hadn't he committed to Nebraska?
It's true. It's like he's waiting to see it.
All the opportunity in the world, not only to commit to Nebraska, but you would figure if you're excited to be a Nebraska Cornhusker, if that is something that you aspire to, and he's a legacy, right? So if that's something that you legitimately aspire to, you want to be part of the resurgence at Nebraska, why would you not have already committed, gotten it over with, and started building the class around you? Christian Jones has not done that. And it's because, as he has said to so many people, I'm not going to go anywhere where I'm not going to be able to win football games and compete for championships.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like, if he's so excited about Nebraska and has all these deep relationships as an in-state kid, why hasn't he done it? Why hasn't he committed yet? And Slim Brady says, can't you say the same thing about Oklahoma, though? And, well, maybe, but again, he's not the in-state prospect that, like, you know how we felt about Michael Fasusi? It's, man, which really feels like you got to get this. He's a Texas kid, top 15 overall player, top player on your board. I almost feel like the way that we talked about Michael Fasusi and how badly you needed him in this class is probably the same way that Nebraska is talking about their 2025 class. Not that they don't have a good class already, but it's like, man, we got a player like this, a top 100 player in Omaha. We got to go get him, man. Come on.
And I think it's fair to look at it this way. What Nebraska does throughout the first few games of the season is going to go a long way towards dictating the outcome of the Christian Jones recruitment, because it's going to give us an answer. It's going to give him an answer. I don't know exactly how many games we're talking about, but there will come a point throughout the season for Nebraska at which you either can look at the future ahead under Matt Rule and be confident in what's being built there, or there will come a point in the season at which you sit there and go, yep, it's the same Nebraska I've watched for a decade.
Yep.
I don't know which it's going to be, but that time will come. And it is at that point that the decision will effectively be made for Christian Jones.
Cherokee Sooner, is Verdon even Class A? They may be Class B now, I think. May not even be Class A anymore. Alex from Manford, I'm sure you guys will repeat this multiple times this week, But Tyler, what's the radio schedule for this week? The radio schedule for this week, Parker and I are actually doing noon to 2 on Friday together at Yo Pablo on Campus Corner. That's going to be fun.
We are?
Yep, you and I, noon to 2.
Love it. Okay.
Bobby Stoops will be on The Rush Thursday, 4:45 to 5:30. He did fantastic, as always. The T-Row in the Morning Show earlier today. So Friday, we'll have you covered all day long. We'll take you up until 5 p.m. for the 6 p.m. kickoff of OU and Temple. But Parker and I will be noon to 2. Bob Stoops, 4:45 to 5:30 on Thursday. It's going to be really fun as well. Big Rich in OKC. Hey, Tyler, Parker told Mike to look at his package. I did hear that.
Did I say those words? Those exact words?
You said package. I did hear that part.
Okay. If I did say those exact words and I didn't realize what came out of my mouth, then that's on me. I'll wear that one.
How about this? I mean, we're starting to maybe take a peek into 2026. This is about the time of the year last year. Maybe it was like a month down the road where we started to learn about Michael Fasusi for the first time. Remember our initial thoughts with Fasusi is, this kind of feels early on that this is going to be an OU and Texas battle for Michael Fasusi. It's exactly what it ended up being. So a name that we may really need to start talking about for 2026 could be the number 1 defensive tackle in the class, Deuce Geralds. And Rivals had a short little bit about him today. He's from the state of Georgia, 6'2", 275, the number 12 overall player according to Rivals. Just a 4-star, but he's got a chance to be 5-star status when they really get into the rankings for 2026. The new number 1 defensive tackle in the 26 class has 15 planned game day visits this season.
Good gracious.
Which hardly narrows things down. But there are definitely a group of programs coming after him the hardest. The word is that Oklahoma, Alabama, and Ohio State have been making the biggest impression at this point. Was he here a month ago?
Sooners Under the Stars, yes.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely one to watch. Ask me who the Michael Fasusi of the 2026 class is.
Who is the Michael Fasusi of the 2026 class?
Felix Ojo. If you don't know that name already, get to know that name.
Okay.
Big-time offensive tackle, nearing 40 scholarship offers from Mansfield Lake Ridge High School down in Texas. So like Fasusi, he is local to the DFW area. Like Fasusi, he hasn't started out as a super blue-chip, otherworldly, everybody thinks can't miss 5-star dude. But trust me, he's going to have the type of junior year that's going to have him in that conversation. And Oklahoma is in a great position there.
Well, by God, Sark better promise him or tell him that he can start as a freshman or he ain't going to go to Texas. Let the excuses already start for the Texas side if Ojo doesn't end up picking the University of Texas. Well, I mean, Oklahoma paid more, which I don't think that's true. And Texas told him that he probably couldn't start day one. That's the excuse that they use there. When Jonah Williams, as soon as he committed, like right after, probably see myself playing early because the safety room is not that deep.
And you know what's funny?
It's amazing.
You know what's funny? I did an interview with Felix Ojo, probably 3 weeks ago now. You know what he said his top 2 were?
Oklahoma and Texas.
Close-ish. You got one of 2.
Oklahoma and A&M.
Oklahoma and USC.
Oh! Wonder if old Muleshoe will even be there for the conclusion of that recruitment. I guess we shall see. But, dude, if it's OU and USC, I think you got to way too early feel pretty good about your chances going head-to-head for those guys.
Yeah, I mean, shoot. Would you, if you were a big-time offensive tackle that's 6'7" and 285 pounds, would you rather have T-Bones and Schmitty or Smoothies and Shake Weights?
Well, and then, USC doesn't have the toy sword that they're taking to the gunfight anymore. Apparently they have an actual gun that they're taking to the gunfight, but I would still like OU and their chances early on for that one. Scuba Steve, nice joke. It is very relevant because it is game week. Number 1 Sooner fan here. What time do we play on Saturday? They going to cover that lofty 43-point spread on Friday nights?
I don't expect that. I think any spread over 40 points, my tendency is always to believe that the underdog will cover. Because 40 points is a lot of points. Like, they could do it. They could do it pretty effortlessly. It's more about, will they do it? For instance, the opener back in 2022 when Oklahoma beat UTEP 45-13.
Didn't cover.
No, they didn't cover. They
No.
missed covering by half a point, and they could have covered that day if they wanted to. But they called off the dogs and put in the second team.
The biggest reason why I do think that there's a chance, I think they can cover the 43, but are we sure Temple's going to score? Like, if Temple doesn't score, do I think OU's going to at least put up 49 points on Friday night? Yeah, I think OU's at least going to put up 49 points on Friday night. I think they're going to run the mess out of the football against Temple and have a lot of success doing so. And I do think it's going to be a pretty vanilla game plan on Friday night. But that doesn't mean that they're not going to take some chances down the field and, let Jackson Arnold loose a little bit. Like, they're not going to show very much offensively, but you can still run some go routes without showing a whole lot offensively, right? And if you just get the ball in Deion Burke's hands, it doesn't matter what play you call. Dude may take it to the house. So, I don't know. I just don't see Temple scoring that many points. So, I could see OU covering the 43 on Friday night. But it's a lot of points, man. God, it's a lot of points.
I'm really excited to watch the second team if and when they get on the field. I'm more excited to watch this second team than I have been to watch any OU second team in a long, long time. Because some of the guys that you're going to see are so exciting. Like Michael Hawkins at the helm of that offense. Danny Okoye off the edge.
Yeah, Okoye is going to be fun.
Ivan Carrione, all 6'6" of him, split out wide. Maybe you get to see some Devon Mitchell.
Well, really everywhere defensively, right, is, they're saying that there's not a huge drop-off from your starting 11 to your next 22. Heck, and he'll play a lot, but Josh Norman said last night, we think that Danny Stutzman, if he's not the best linebacker in college football, he's right there in that top three. Josh Norman saying last night that there's not very much separation at all between Kip Lewis and Danny Stutzman.
Yeah. And that's encouraging to hear, too, because that means Kip has made strides this offseason, and big ones. Maybe the type of strides that Stutzman made from his sophomore to his junior year that really elevated him to that national top tier. Michael Boganowski might kill somebody on Friday night.
He could.
That's within the realm of possibility.
Do you think I could bet on that somewhere?
Michael Boganowski to murder a Temple
Minus 200. They actually think it's likely that that's going to be the case, that it happens. Do we remember the Arkansas State spread, says a 405 texter. That game plan was also very vanilla. Beat those pansies by 50. It's what they are supposed to do.
They beat them by 70, actually. It was 73-0 that day.
And they made Butch Jones cry.
And Arkansas State went to a bowl game last year.
I know. They put in the freshman quarterback a few weeks later and turned into a pretty dang good their level ended up being a pretty decent football team after that. How do you feel about the new clock here? How do you think we handled it today?
It takes some getting used to.
This is the part that takes some getting used to.
Yes,
right
I'm
here.
looking down and I'm like,
what time am I supposed to get in here? What's going on here?
I'm doing it for three years. My brain is hardwired. Once the top of the hour gets close, I'm like, okay, we got this hard break that we gotta hit, and I have to do the manual shut off thing several times at the top of the hour to remind myself, nope, we don't break till 04.
Well, I got 60 seconds left, so I'm looking at random things that I have on the rundown sheet. Do you remember Jaworski Lane?
I do.
Fat running back at Texas A&M?
I do, yeah. He played in the NFL for many years.
Jaworski Lane Jr. has decommitted from Texas A&M. I saw that. The only reason I was interested in that, I was like, whoa, I remember Jaworski Lane at Texas A&M. He was for their standards at Texas A&M, a nice player for them. And the legacy, the son decommits from A&M? What's going on out there, man?
Kyle from Shawnee asked, can you guys tell us about Jacob Jordan? That is no average PWO. Much like Andy Bass, that is a guy that decided to forego P5 scholarship offers to walk on at Oklahoma. So it is no accident that you see him on the Week 1 depth chart. He can ball.
More football coming your way for the next 3 hours. It's the Rush on the Ref right here on the Home of Sooner Fans.